Welcome to Retro Logic, episode 55. I'm Dan Caparello here with John Cummins and special guest Liam from the Retro Groove podcast. But Retro Logic isn't just a podcast, it's also a great community. You can visit retrologic.games, scroll down, click the Discord link, and join the least toxic bunch of retro gamers on the internet. We have weekly giveaways, question submissions, collection show and tell, and much, much more happening every day over in the Discord. So join today, jump in. Liam, hi, how's it going, man? What's up?
Going pretty well. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Can't complain. And John, doing well today, I hope?
Doing great. And speaking of giveaways, I noticed on Discord that one of our Canadian Discordians that won some of the free stuff that I gave out a couple Fridays ago finally received his package.
Oh, man. Canadian shipping. I shipped a GameCube memory card to one of our community members who lives in Canada. $14 for the lowest shipping you possibly could. That's not just a letter, right? But it's too thick to be a letter, so I had to send it first class. $15. Yep. And they're like, yeah, all the prices are up for the holidays now. I'm like, dang, I should have shipped earlier.
Similar for me. I paid more. I think I paid more shipping 2 packages to Canada. One was a book and one, a magazine, and one was a game, than I think I've spent on shipping for all of my free stuff Fridays.
It's insane right now. It's insane right now. But let's do a little bit of housekeeping before we jump into our icebreaker. Liam, tell the people a little bit about Retro Groove, y'all's music podcast. It's part of the network, and we love it. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so Retro Groove, you're talking about the great community here. I found this community initially through Nintendo Dads, and then hanging out in the Retro Logic community, started chatting with some folks who were really into music and geeking out a little bit, and we started this podcast, and we jump around each week. We'll talk about music news and releases and collecting vinyl or records, whatever, and then pick a topic for our B-side. We did a cool episode about the music of Tony Hawk one week. My co-host Adam tried to convince me or explain to me why you should listen to Radiohead and appreciate Radiohead, and now I am actually kind of a Radiohead fan. So it worked. Right. So I'm becoming a better person because of the podcast. And our most recent episode was a James Bond music retrospective in celebration of the new movie, which I haven't seen yet. I don't know if you guys have, but I'm very excited. I think I'm going to take my mom to go see it because my mom is the one who introduced me to James Bond, and she would walk around the house and sing James Bond songs, and so I might take my mom out on a little date to go see a James Bond movie. That episode
was awesome, by the way. It was so fun to listen to.
It's very fun, yeah. And going back through some of those songs, there's been some fantastic James Bond songs over the years. So, yeah, Absolutely. Come check us out, Retro Groove.
Yeah, you can find them on the RetroLogic website, which is retrologic.games. You can click around and find it, or you can go to retrologic.games/retrogroove, I believe. And you guys have your own Instagram and all that going on too, so definitely go check them out because it's really fun to listen to you guys chat about the music that I grew up with too. So,
we have fun with it. Thanks.
Love that. Also, you can check out the Retro Logic Patreon, which just launched this month. We have a bunch of exclusive video content up there. We have the unboxing of my vintage Earthworm Jim action figures. And there's lots of other cool stuff planned, so make sure that you jump in. We just have a $1 tier open right now, so jump in early. And Plocktober is wrapping up soon, you guys. This week is Plock Talk episode 2, featuring our own Sam Wagers and Andros from the Nintendo Pals podcast. That'll be on our feed, so if you're already listening to this, you probably have access to that too. Okay, let's jump into our icebreaker. What did you guys buy? What did you play this week? I've got a short list, but Liam, as our guest, why don't you go first?
Yeah, so I hit up. I got a couple locals in my area, and I've been stalking this one that usually or used to get limited run games because I missed out on a pre-order a while back on a game I didn't know I wanted, and now I have like severe FOMO. And so I
I'm
keep
like that
going
with
there.
the Grandia collection. I'm like that with the Grandia collection. I'm so mad at
man.
myself.
Yeah.
You can actually get from Play Asia has a pre-order up right now for the Asian version with English language availability.
Okay.
But it's like $47, I think.
It's cheaper than the going
$500
rate. Yeah.
that it's going for right now.
But I honestly, so I wound up speaking with the guy who runs the place, and he was like, yeah, we were not making any money off of it. Like the profit margin was minimal, so we're not getting any of the games that I was looking for, at least in. But it's still a great store. And so I grabbed Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. So I never had this for the GameCube. I love the bongos, but it never kind of tickled my fancy back in the day. So I got the Wii New Play Control version, and haven't tested it out yet, but I'm kind of excited to go for it. Have you guys played that game before? Because it's a Donkey Kong platformer. It's got to be okay, right?
I wish you guys could hear my face right now. Liam.
Okay. Yeah.
Liam.
Yeah.
On what planet are the new play controls better than the bongo? Like the whole point of that game.
Pikmin. The Pikmin games are better on the Wii than on the GameCube.
The Pikmin games are better.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Can you play them with the bongos though? Like,
No.
Oh my gosh. No. This game was very, very specifically designed to be played with the bongos because it's a rhythm platformer.
Is it? Okay.
And you take. Did you play it on? Have you played it with the bongos?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, God.
I think he was trying to get away from just having bongos at
I
his
like to
house.
keep it positive around here, but sometimes you just got to lay down the law. The next time you're in
please.
Austin, you're coming over because the game
I'll bring
and
my
the bongos.
I have them. Yeah.
You have some bongos?
I have bongos.
Okay, all right.
I got Conga 1 and 2.
The game is 20, maybe 30.
Mm-hmm.
Try to get a copy for the love of God for your buddy Dan, because
does the Wii version support the bongo controls?
no,
Like, can
it
you go
does not.
backwards?
No, it doesn't.
No.
Which is stupid. Also,
For some reason, I thought that I could plug in my Wii Classic controller into the Wiimote and just play with. I was envisioning playing this just like a standard platformer with my like Pro Wii Classic controller thing with the black one with the handles or whatever.
can you not
But
do
maybe
that?
I don't know. I haven't tried it yet.
Because I know. Here, I'll just say this: like, the Wii Play Control is nothing like the bongo controls. They kind of like reworked the game to be a regular Donkey Kong platformer, and it's fine. Yeah. But this listen, this is the director of Super Mario Galaxy who designed Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, and you need to play this game the way it was intended. That's all I'll say.
So you're saying he envisioned it to be done in a certain way, and I should respect that and at least give that a shot, which I understand, except that I also wish that I could play Star Fox Zero with regular controls and not the way that Miyamoto wanted us to play it, which is like waving our hands around with a tablet.
I mean, I agree with you. And if there was a way to do that, I would suggest doing that. Unfortunately,
so that's what I'm envisioning here.
Right.
Or Kid Icarus Uprising and not have like the claw hand after you get done playing that.
I thought I had a workaround here where I'm like, all right, if I get it on the Wii, I plug in this classic controller, then I basically have a new Donkey Kong Country game. Maybe that's not going to happen.
Just listen. It's different. It's very rhythmy and like combo platform. Like it's not a traditional platformer.
Is it an endless runner? Like, is it like,
no.
Is he always moving?
No, it's not. Man, it's so hard to explain. Essentially, this bongo makes him go that way. The other bongo makes him go that way. A clap lets you collect all the bananas around you, and double bongos makes you jump. Those are the controls. Now, with that, there's innumerable numbers of set pieces that are set up for you to be able to hit the bongos in the right timing, in the right order, to collect the maximum amount of bananas. So it is a platformer, like at its core, but you're doing a different kind of action to be able to pull off these different stunts, to be able to collect like these really hard to get bananas, to get this certain like rhythm pattern down to do it. And everything kind of matches the beat of the level. It's amazing. And the Wii version, I'm sorry, is gimped.
I like your passion.
Listen, you know I'm passionate about Donkey Kong, but this game,
I know.
This game is genius and deserves to be played in its original form. So,
all right, even if you don't have I don't think I have great rhythm. So, I'll try it.
You'll get there.
What happens.
You'll get there.
I passed on this game when it came out originally, just because like I felt, they didn't want to make another Donkey Konga 3. So like this was another way for them to make some money while people still had bongos in their house.
Yeah.
Koizumi.
That's what it felt like when it came out.
Koizumi. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
That's my argument's over. Koizumi.
I also picked up Battle for Naboo, so I'm a big Rogue Squadron fan, and I had passed on this one originally when it first came out, but I have always heard good things, and I actually don't mind the first 3, the prequel series. Episode 1 is kind of fun if you go back to it now. So again, haven't plugged this in. I literally bought these things like 2 days ago, but and I'm a bad collector who doesn't test out his purchases right away. But I'm excited to pop that in. I heard that it basically plays like another Rogue Squadron for the 64.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Battle for Naboo.
And then I picked up Milo's Astro Lanes, and it was cheap. I think it was like $10 or $15 or something. And I was at a different store hunting for something else. And I had that thing where I'm like, well, I'm here. And there's something that I remember having the 3-sheet fold-out poster of Nintendo Power for that I thought looked pretty cool, like Iggy's Wrecking Balls or whatever back in the day, And so I'm like, all right, I definitely remember like a Milo's Astro Lanes thing and thought it looked cool, so I might as well just get this for $10. Why not?
Chameleon's Twist.
Chameleon's Twist, Buck Bumble. Yeah, they were all in there. I messed around with it a little bit. It's kind of fun. It's space bowling, but it's a trip. And then for what I've been playing, I've been messing around with Demon's Crest, the Retro Rewind game. It seems like I've been kind of using a guide because it's a little all over the place and the difficulty spikes are here and there. So I feel like I'm halfway through, but I also can't really tell. I'm playing through Spiritfarer on Switch. I don't know if you guys have played that game at all. It's gorgeous. And
how does it play on Switch?
Spiritfarer?
Yeah.
It's great. I'm playing it on handheld a bunch, but my daughter, she kind of sat with me one morning when I was early on in the game and was interested because they're animals that live on your boat. And so she liked it, and she can't really read all the dialogue. The dialogue's a little,
I was gonna say,
a little edgy. Yeah. And it's also a lot about dealing with death. And so I'm explaining what's happening to her, but I'm censoring it a little bit. But
these animals totally aren't dead.
Yeah. And but it plays really great. Soundtrack's gorgeous, and apparently it's going up on vinyl soon. So I think I'm going to pull the trigger on that. Because there's a couple, like Hollow Knight was another one where Celeste, like some of those when you play it and you have that moment with a new indie game where you really bond and the music hits you. And I'm just a sucker for then just wanting to kind of keep that in physical form, the music of it with me. And then the last thing I've been playing is Lode Runner 64. It was another one, like I grew up on Commodore 64. My dad had one. I played a lot of DOS games. And so I played a lot of Lode Runner and then like Lode Runner knockoffs. And I grabbed this one a while back. I had always had my eye on it, never bought it. Grabbed it a while back, and I just love it's such a dumb dynamic of like you can break a block to the left or to the right. It's the same thing that they've been doing for 30 something years, 40 years before this. But it's kind of like how when you play a puzzle game like Tetris or whatever, and then you start your brain rewires to think of how you can use that mechanic to solve problems. It's really fun. It doesn't look super great, but about 50-60% of the way through it. I mean, it's an old 64 game, but it's a fun thing to just pick up and play for a few minutes while I'm sitting around and then move on to something else.
So
that's my stuff.
My brother and I used to play Lode Runner on the NES quite a bit, and we would like make levels for each other and stuff, and that was super fun. And I don't know if you've played Lode Runner Legacy on the Switch or not.
I did, yeah. No, that's really good. There was also one, I think, for the Turbo Graphics that I played that was on the Wii U Virtual Console. Cool. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of that mechanic, and the it's a fun mechanic.
The level creation was a super big part of the fun for us as well. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Liam.
Yeah.
John, a little bit of a small week for you, small week for me too. So why don't you jump in first?
Yeah. The only game that I actually picked up this week is Pikmin 2 for the GameCube.
Not new play control.
Yes. No, old play controls.
I wouldn't be as mad about that, but yeah, that's good.
I actually like the GameCube play controls better, I think. But
yeah, I mean they're comparable. I think they're different enough.
I didn't really have any time to go to the locals this week, so I didn't go pick anything else up like I normally do. So that's kind of what I grabbed. I'm glad that Liam brought up Spiritfarer again, because I need to hop back into that. I did buy it for the Switch a while back. I don't think I mentioned it on here because it's not retro, but I played it on Game Pass, and I got to a certain point and encountered a game-breaking bug to where I couldn't get the sheep off my boat.
Oh.
And yeah, it was a bad deal. I was probably about halfway through the game.
Yeah, that stinks, man. And it's not a short game.
No, I mean, it's not.
I thought it was going to be a quick indie game, and I'm probably 10, 12 hours in, and I think I'm at 50%.
Yeah, I think I was probably around 15 hours, and I've heard it's about a 30-hour game. So, yeah, it just kind of sucked. So I need to get back to that. That's not what I've been playing. What I've been playing is more Metroid Dread, because that's about all I have time for.
Yes. It's so good, dude.
I've been playing it like Dan, like 15 minutes at a time. It's like, oh man, I got time for it. I got to put the kids on the bus.
But it plays so well like that. Like, I'm honestly surprised at like how frequent the save points are. And actually have
I like how they added them kind of in a way, because you can save after certain sequences. Like when you get the map, you can save. Whenever you get
the network,
get to a next network station, you can save. Yeah, just different stuff like that allows you to save more often.
And I just find it so refreshing to be able to, like, I know I only have 15 minutes, right? Like, I have to go do this thing, or I have to take a break from work and I only have 15 minutes, but I know I can get in there and I'll find an upgrade, or I'll beat a boss or something major.
Or, get some missiles.
Exactly. Yeah. Just find a secret, do something, and you'll do something in 15 minutes and then just run to the nearest save point, because they're all over the place.
On the Switch plays so well to Metroid's hand, just because you could put it, use sleep mode. So like, even if you can't find a save point after 15 minutes of playing, you just put it to sleep and come back to it next time you have 15 minutes and finish up. I have PTSD about that, because I have more than once lost like a pretty significant save file because I put my Switch to sleep and then it died.
Ugh.
And especially, I think I was playing a roguelike like Rad or something, and that happened to me, and I was like,
how long do you wait? Like, did you not play again for like a whole
sometimes week? It's days before I get back to it, and like maybe the Switch is on 50%.
Yeah, you're not docking it.
You bought an OLED, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that thing's good for like 2 weeks in sleep mode, man.
Yeah, now it is, but especially my version 1 Switch, like it would die.
Yeah, my launch Switch was getting pretty iffy too.
It was getting pretty.
I always put it in the dock when I'm not playing it.
No, I carry that thing with me everywhere. It gets charged fairly infrequently because of that, and I'll just have to watch the percentage. But that hasn't happened to me with Metroid, because I'm playing it way more often now. It happened once with Skyward Sword before I got the OLED. But yeah, I'm not finished with Dread, but I feel like I'm on the last kind of like hour, 2 hour stretch. And that's all I've been playing either. It's that and like Animal Crossing here and there, rebuilding my town. Man,
Dread feels like I've been playing it for way longer than I actually have. Like I thought it was like around the 10-hour mark. And then I finally turned it off, like exit out of the game, come back in. It says I'm only 5 hours in. So freaking time just like it's not that I'm not having fun, but like you get so engrossed. Like I feel like I'm putting a lot more time in it than I actually am.
I feel like part of it is how frequent the upgrades are. So frequent.
Yeah.
You know, something significant happens like every 15 to 20 minutes.
Well, and I think they kind of balance it with, you know, I feel like in other Metroid games, there's not as many like additional missile add-ons.
Oh, that's right. They have like the +2 missile add-ons. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I think they've kind of scattered it all out. And then at the same time, like you take a little bit more damage from enemies here and there.
I also feel like
they're giving you more and then taking more.
They did a really good job of balancing the openness with the linearity of it, so that you're kind of always aware of at least the direction you're supposed to go in, you know? And like a quick look at the map will show you, oh, I just got this power up and I can use it here, here, and here. And you'll try a few things and eventually open up the next path. But honestly, it just feels like a stroke of genius, this game, the way they did that.
Yeah, no, it plays fantastic.
I think I've been lost less than a handful of times.
What it looks like, too. Like,
oh, yeah.
You almost have to play it on the OLED. Like, it makes it just that much more vibrant.
So true.
Just don't scratch it up.
So true, man. I started it on my original Switch and then got an OLED later, and it really was night and day. It's like, this doesn't look like the same game.
We're going to have the same experience with Prime 4 on the Switch, too. So just get ready for it.
I've said before, man, like if it has to come out next generation, I'm fine with it. Just let it be amazing.
Yeah. Well, especially, you see this and you're like, okay, if that's what you need to do, that's
just drip feed me Prime 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Like on the way. I'll be fine. I'll play through the
trilogy. You can do the trilogy new play control. That's fine.
Get out of here with that.
Trilogy new play control. Yeah, handheld mode. That's the new play control stuff.
Joy-Con motion control only.
Please don't.
So other than Dread, I did get a tiny bit of time with the N64 games on NSO, which launched tonight. And the only game that I booted up was Star Fox 64 because it's the best N64 game, irrefutably.
Yes, you do.
So there's a couple things that I'll say just right off the bat in my like 15 minutes of playing. It looks amazing. Like everything runs at 60 frames. Especially on the OLED, it just looks so sharp. Everything looks sharp, you know, like they really, I don't know what they did, but they really just did a good job with kind of up-resing the textures. And then the polygons are like really smooth looking, like really, really good looking. So everything's transitioned very well as far as Star Fox is concerned, transitioned very well to HD. What?
I was gonna say, I love how you fired it up and you chose to play Star Fox whenever you could have played Sin and Punishment, a game that you've never played before.
Well, because I knew I only had like 10, 15 minutes. I didn't want to sink time into Sin and Punishment. I wanted to play Sin and Punishment right, you know. Liam understands.
I do understand that.
So, plus Star Fox is, you know, I'm going to play the best, obviously. So,
yeah.
So the one thing I will say is that the controller doesn't transition very well. And this has been a problem with Nintendo 64 games since the Virtual Console. I don't want to say a lot, but there are a significant number of N64 games that are almost unplayable without 6 face buttons. And 6 face buttons hasn't been a thing since that generation, since N64 Saturn, you know?
How did the stick throw feel?
Oh, that felt fine. I honestly, I was playing Star Fox 64 like I was on the N64. It felt really good.
That used to be an issue for me playing with more modern controllers with N64 games. Like the N64 controller has a taller stick and more throw on it.
Yeah. With Star Fox though, you're not doing such minute changes. You're really like throwing that stick around, dodging stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think Mario 64 would probably be the one you feel it the most on.
Yeah, Mario, probably Zelda, probably like something like probably like racing games, you probably notice it more as well, because you need some more like finite control. So I didn't notice that in Star Fox. Star Fox played incredibly, but there was a bit of a learning curve with like what buttons do what, because I'm used to the C buttons. I'm used to knowing like where my boost is, where my brake is, and I had to like relearn all of that. So that took a learning curve.
The joystick?
Huh?
I was gonna say, is it the right stick?
What?
Is it mapped to the right stick?
I think it does, but I don't like using sticks as buttons. That just doesn't make sense to me. So I'd rather relearn, remap than figure it out. You know what I mean?
It's just GameCube, man.
GameCube what?
That had the C-stick.
No, I know. I'm not a fan of that. I'm saying it's just a personal thing.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather map it to a button. It's doable. It's just not ideal for me.
To a barrel roll.
So I'm really looking forward to getting those N64 controllers for sure. And mine shipped, so I'm really hype about that. I want to try to do like a comparison, like I'll probably do like Mario 64 or something where it's like, here it is on the N64, here it is on the 3D collection, and here it is on NSO. And here it is on the Wii U Virtual Console, and like kind of like do a side by side or something. We'll see about that. That'll be a Patreon.
I just can't wait till the controllers come out so they can do the controller comparison, and I guarantee it's the exact same stick that's in both.
There's no way it's the same, dude. There's no way.
It's gonna be crazy if it is. If it is, that's insane. Yeah. Wow.
No way.
I'll just sell you more.
Did you go into all range mode at all? Did you get that far into the game where you went into all range mode? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's the first boss.
I beat a couple levels. Yeah, I did easy mode, so I had to fight an all range boss first on Corneria.
So how do you do your flips and your U-turns on the Pro controller? Do you remember?
Well, so on the N64,
that's all C-stick. That's all C buttons on the 64 controller.
No, it's boost and oh shoot, I don't want to mess this up. I think it's
pull or boost and push.
Boost and pull is do a flip, and boost and brake and push
is the reverse, right?
Is the turnaround, something like that. Okay. So, but I think you can map that to the C stick, which is what they kind of did on the Virtual Console. Call it the C stick. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like there are options, right? I'm not saying there aren't options, but for me, as somebody who grew up in the 90s, I kind of need an N64 controller. Nothing else is ever going to feel perfect. Now,
and I wonder how because Ocarina had the 3 item slots, is that right? And one of them was a C button.
One of them.
So I wonder what that is. Of them, it's got to be a...
Yeah. 3 of them were the C buttons. And what they did on the GameCube was they mapped it to Z, X, and Y. So one of your triggers is a button. So they'll probably just keep that.
Right.
Which that makes sense for Zelda, because you're not having to like do multiple buttons or combinations or whatever. Donkey Kong 64, I don't know how you're going to do that without, because there's so many button combinations to get things to work in that game. It's crazy. Yeah. Same thing with Banjo-Tooie.
Z and left C button.
Yeah.
Z and right C button.
So like it's a little weird with an extra stick and with
pull
the
your
stick.
Gun out.
Yeah. So we'll see. Anyway, I think that it looks amazing. I really look forward to the 64 controllers coming out, and I want to try some more stuff. Beat Star Fox 10 times like I do. That being said, let's jump into our Prices Retro, guys. Okay, if this is your first time playing Prices Retro, this is how we play. We're all going to... So I'm going to list off 4 or 5 games, and you're going to guess how much the total lot of these games is worth in dollars and cents. Whoever's the closest to guessing the actual price of the lot wins. Everybody has a list, and everybody guesses. And we have a ghost player who always guesses $300, which just seems to be a good average. And if the ghost wins, we all lose. That's how that goes.
And as per Flightsy's request, the ghost is fixed to operate more like a host with its guesses.
Yes, thank you, Flightsy, for pointing that out. We have made the change. We appreciate you. No list this week from you, though, so thanks for taking a little break. We've got Liam with us, who's got a list, but I'm gonna go first this time because I feel like it. So, Just a weird list of games that I interacted with in one way or another this week. No theme really to speak of. We've got Earthworm Jim 2 for the Super Nintendo, loose. Metroid Prime Pinball for the Nintendo DS, complete in box. Knuckles Chaotix for the Sega 32X, loose. And WWF No Mercy, the -1 variant on the serial number N64, loose.
What's the -1 variant? I don't know anything about
it. It has a different serial number than your normal copy of WWF No Mercy.
Wow.
That's all I can tell you right now.
That's fine.
That means it had it must have had some kind of update that was physically on the cartridge.
I guess I can tell you. Okay, so the original version of WWF No Mercy had a game-breaking like save file bug that would literally like wipe your save files.
So they reprinted it with this new one.
Exactly. It was the only way to put out an update for your game was to re-release the game. So the -1, the -1 serial number is the updated save file.
How many were out there before that they fixed it?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, that is a very good question. Okay. All right.
Any guesses?
Yeah, I've got a number. Hold on, let me do math. I'm going to go 170.
Okay. John, what do you got?
I'm going to go 250.
Okay. Actual retail value price is $668.81.
Jesus. Oh,
668 what?
668.81.
That's
of course.
So we'll start with the obvious one. The -1 variant of No Mercy goes for $400.
Of course.
Wow.
The regular variant goes for $5.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like $10. So I put that at 50. I was like, yeah, there's got to be more.
And something you got to think about too is that it's kind of rare for them to make multiple printings of any given game. It has to be like a really good selling game for them to be like, let's make more copies of this. They'll do a run. They'll see how it sells. So like they did their run of No Mercy and they were like, oh, these are all defective. Let's put out more copies. And by that time, everybody who wanted it owned it. So they didn't sell anymore. So the -1 variant is actually fairly rare.
I wonder if you go into a retro game store that maybe isn't on top of their stuff, because the wrestling games make up a third of that like bargain bin stuff for N64 anyway.
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to compulsively look at the serial numbers of WWF No Mercy, seeing if one of the people slipped up and it kind of scooted in there.
Now
That's an easy miss.
Before everybody runs out and buys every copy of No Mercy, I haven't done any like hard homework on this, but there's other ways to tell which copy you have, and sometimes -1 copies are the old version, if I'm remembering correctly. So please do your own research about this before you go trying to buy all these copies and then you yell at me for being a liar. Go do your own research. I haven't done this or checked my copies. I just am telling you what what price charting says. Okay.
Wow.
So,
let's get the other numbers though, because I feel like I was close on the others. Yeah.
The other games we have: Earthworm Jim 2 loose is $32.99. Metroid Prime Pinball for the DS. $103.34.
Wow.
Yeah.
I bought that maybe 8 or 9 months ago.
I'm
$50.
It like literally was $20 in. It was no. It hold up. Let me look.
15. I think is what I paid for it.
It was
complete
20.
Yeah.
It was $29 in February.
Yeah.
It was $50 in June, and it's been over 100 since September.
Wow.
I bought mine last year,
and June was when the Dread trailer came out. So after that, it went from 50 to 100.
Yeah, I bought Fusion for 40 right around that same time, and just a loose cart, and I know that's doubled what it is at
Yeah.
this point now. Yeah.
Yeah, same with me. I got Fusion like a couple months before that.
Wow.
And then finally, Knuckles Chaotix for 32X loose is 132.49,
Wow.
which is one of the more desirable 32X games.
Wow.
Honestly, probably the most desired, aside from like Star Wars Arcade or something like that.
I think the Ghost got that one.
I think so, actually.
Yeah. Ghost did win that one.
Good job, Ghost.
Sorry, guys, that was a tricky one.
That's good.
I heard about No Mercy, and I knew I had to price this retro that to fool you guys. And unfortunately, Liam, you were on.
No, that's good.
guess.
That's all good.
Do you want to go? Do you want to go next, Liam? Do you want to go? Let's do it.
Yeah, sure. I might break some rules here too. So if not, I have a backup list, but I think I'm good. Because I don't think I've ever heard you guys do this before. But my first game is Day of the Tentacle for PC complete.
We've done a little bit of PC.
Okay, PC's tough.
So PC's fine. We're we always get it wrong. Complete.
Yeah.
Is that complete in box?
Complete. Yeah. So Day of the Tentacle for PC complete. Broken Age for the Nintendo Switch complete. And disclaimer, that is a limited run game.
Thank you for that.
Grim Fandango Remastered for the PS4 complete. And disclaimer on that, it is also a limited run that was put out by IM 8-Bit. And then
Awesome
Brutal Legend for the Xbox 360 complete. And the theme is Tim Schafer, because he's awesome.
Of course.
And LucasArts and Double Fine are awesome. And you talk about Rad a bunch, and I haven't played that, but Double Fine is pretty sweet. So.
Rad is a hill that I die on frequently.
Yeah.
When people are
play
like,
it.
what's a good game nobody's heard of? Please, for the love of God, play Rad. It's so good.
I have to do it. It's like it's sitting on there, and I've never touched it, and I have to. I definitely have to.
So my guess is $410.
I was thinking 400.
Do it.
All right. Retail price $354.65.
Gosh, dang it, John.
Very close. So Day of the Tentacle, which I've been eyeing for a long time because there are a handful of classic PC games that I just want on
Are there
my
PC
shelf.
games on price charting?
There are, yeah. Not all of them.
I have this bad boy right here.
Oh,
Fate of
nice.
Liam,
Fate of
what was
Atlantis.
that total one more time?
It was $354.65. But yeah, so there's a handful of PC games that just from my childhood I want a boxed version of just to have on the shelf. Command and Conquer, this game from Edgar Allan Poe stories called The Dark Eye, and I've got them all except Day of the Tentacle, and it's $172. So I'm like, I can't justify that. Broken Age for the Switch is $48 right now. I definitely paid more than that. It's less than what it cost, I think, to buy it originally. Grim Fandango Remastered, $127.50. I loved that game. I never played it back in the day, but I did play the release on the Switch. There's a few moments where it's that same adventure issue where you're like, how was I supposed to figure this thing out? But if you're okay looking a couple things up, that game is so good. I love that game. And then Brutal Legend. Yeah, Brutal Legend for Xbox 360, Jack Black. $6.50. So why not pick that one up?
I knew that was a
that
dime
was the
store.
one I was questioning, but I definitely need to pick that up for the 360 collection. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So I just looked up Fate of Atlantis. The loose price is $102.
Wow, that's the one you just held up.
Disc. Yeah.
Especially because a lot of PC games, like the Day of the Tentacle one that I almost sprung for, is all on floppies. Like I'm not playing that. No one's playing that.
I wonder if this even works.
Yeah,
If I put it in my PC right now, like what would it do?
I don't think it would do much.
probably wouldn't be able to read any of it.
You'd have to have
a Windows 98.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to have a virtual PC that could run it. I had to do that with Warcraft 2. I wanted to play Warcraft 2, and then I just bought it on GOG because it was like
that's what I was gonna say. Just buy it on a newer deal.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, I bought Sid Meier's Pirates a little while ago, complete in box, for like $5, and it ended up being worth like $180.
Yeah,
complete in box.
PC ones are weird, man. They're all over the place.
Five and a quarter.
It reminds me of PS1, where it's like mostly bargain bin garbage, and then a few standouts that are like $400, $900, like for, you know.
Well, a ton of people threw out their cardboard for PC games too. They were big, and they came with a jewel case. It wasn't like our stuff, like the cartridges. They came with a jewel case, so most people kept the jewel case and tossed the cardboard.
Yeah. All right, John, your turn.
All right. First game on my list is The Witch and the Hundred Knight for the PS3 complete.
I have no... Why? Can I get a genre? What is that?
It's a kind of like an action RPG.
PS3?
And for the what?
For the PS3.
Goodness.
The second game is The Witch and the Hundred Knight 2 for the PS4 complete.
John. Stop.
The second game is Phantom Brave for the PS2 complete. And the last game is Mackay Kingdom Chronicles of the Sacred Tome for the PS2
I
complete.
swear, John, if these games like don't exist and you're just effing with us,
They're games that I created. That's the theme.
Is there a theme? Yeah. I was gonna say,
No, the theme is these are all games that were developed by Takahito Harada.
oh, okay.
all right, I'm going 255.
I think that wasn't that a game they played on the Nintendo Life podcast where somebody sent in a bunch of like one of these games is fake, and they list off like 4, and you have to guess which one's fake.
I think so.
That was we should play that. That's fun.
We might have to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody.
That sounds great.
If you're listening to this, send us that and send us the solutions in a DM. DM
That sounds
me
like
first.
a Sam list.
Yeah, send me
every week.
DM me first on Discord, and I'll figure out how you can send it to me spoilerish so that I can play along. But
Sam's back next week. I got to do that for Sam next week. Just don't tell him about it and see what happens.
yeah, we'll see if he listens. That'll be the test if he actually listens to the podcast.
Yeah.
That's a fun game. Okay, so my guess is 220.
All right. So the total for my lot is $104.13.
Wow.
Man,
Jeez. All right. There you go, Dan.
I'm disappointed I went so over, but literally have never in my life heard of any of these games. So,
Yeah. And the PS2, like if that was an RPG, you don't know.
and that's the thing, right? Like PlayStation stuff is either like, or like rocket ship. to
What
the
are these
moon price.
numbers?
Crazy. All right.
All
Hit us with the individual prices there, John.
All right. So the first game, The Witch and the Hundred Knight for the PS3 complete, is $21. The Witch and the Hundred Knight 2 for the PS4 complete is $47.89. And Phantom Brave for the PS2 complete is $15.05. And Mackay Kingdom Chronicles of the Sacred Tome for the PS2 is $20.19 complete.
The moment anything has more than like 3 or 4 words in the title for a PS2 game or something, I'm automatically adding dollar signs. So I put that last one way too high. I was like, that's $100
It's not
game.
a bad rule of thumb, honestly. Like I would have assumed it was an RPG.
The last one is a tactical RPG.
Ooh.
And it's cheap.
So yeah, you were close. It's PS2, man. A lot of times you're going to get that.
For now,
Might pick it up.
give it a couple of years.
Yeah, right. Hope everybody's getting their copies of Mischief Makers. That's my prediction is that's about to jump up crazy.
Speculating.
Yeah, we are. But for collecting, not for reselling. We're collecting.
Right. Sure.
So who won, John? Who is the victor?
So Dan came in at a total of $171.22.
No.
I came in at $464.16. The Ghost came in at $619.33. And the Liam came in at $649.68.
And
So
that
that makes
goes.
Dan our winner.
I tricked you guys. I
Yeah.
tricked you guys with that one. I feel bad, but I also don't.
No, it's great. Yeah, it was fun.
See, you learn something, you play a game. This is what Price is Retro is all about.
And you gave us the heads up on it too. You were like, guys, this is a reissue, so just so you know.
Yeah,
We could have taken that. We could have gone with it. You were very courteous.
You got to take all the hints you can get with Price is Retro.
That's right.
Awesome.
Yeah, but you've done that before, and it was like the opposite.
Well, yeah, that's true, isn't it? So you really can't tell, can you,
John? You can't take Dan's
You got to throw some red herrings in there so you don't catch on too well.
Right.
Well, it's all fair. I got you last week. So.
You know, it's all fair. You got to trick him every once in a while. All right.
Season 2.
That was great. And if you want to submit a list to the show, listener, if you want to submit a list for us to guess, simply DM me on Twitter, DM me in Discord. One of those two will be fine, and I will tell you how to submit that list so that we can all play spoiler free and have a great time. And if you want to tell us what theme it is, or if you want us to guess the theme, you can throw in a little twist in there. That's always fun. And thanks for playing. And make sure you check out, if you're in the Discord, make sure you check out Flightsy's Prices Retro database. He's working very hard on. It is in the Prices Retro. It's pinned in the Prices Retro channel. It'll be up on the website soon as well. Let's jump into our show topic this week, guys, which is early open world gaming and their influence on the industry. Stay tuned. Welcome back. And John, what were the standings as far as the number of wins for Price is Retro? We forgot to mention that stat.
So it was a 3-way tie between you, me, and the robot, or the ghost.
The ghost.
Now we need a robot. Dang it.
Now we need, season 3 we'll do a robot.
Season 3 we'll have the robot.
Yeah, we'll figure out what he does. Awesome.
Well, he can do what I mentioned in the
average.
Discord. Yeah, running the average between everyone's guesses.
Since you just love creating
his guess.
Since you just love creating math and spreadsheets, we can just challenge you all the way.
Right.
Just keep throwing it at you. Flightsy will come up with some weird. He'll send it to you. So this week our show topic is early open world games and their influence on the industry. We are doing this to celebrate the release of the Grand Theft Auto Trilogy Definitive Edition, which is coming out to Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X, Series S, and PC next in 2 weeks, Thursday, November 11th, 2021, which is pretty cool. The updates that they've done make it look really, really smooth. I think that I would be down to play some Grand Theft Auto 3 right about now. I'm down for that. I remember having a lot of fun with it when it first came out. I'm incredibly nostalgic for those games, so totally.
Have we heard yet on the music license yet? Like, are they going to have the music?
I don't know.
Great question. Yeah, I have not seen anything on that, but that's usually the hang-ups, isn't it?
That's something you guys will have to cover on your show.
Yeah, we'll go into it we'll go into it on Retro Groove. I mean, there's definitely issues with that with the Tony Hawk reissue where they couldn't clear a few classic songs because they just couldn't hunt down or get the money cleared with the masters holders, the rights holders.
That's tough, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Hoping for the best.
So you played them originally? You liked them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I did.
We played, me and Adam used to go over to our friend Drew's house. We would play this game where we'd pass the controller around, and the goal was just like, how much havoc can you wreak before the cops get you? And if the cops get you or you die, then you pass the controller. And that was super fun because you could explore the city, you could kind of do whatever. And I don't remember if we owned it or not, but I did have quite a bit of experience with it. So it must have just been at a friend's house and stuff. I think I owned Vice City though. That was the one in like the 80s with like the actual music on the radio, right? Yeah. Hawaiian shirt. What about you guys? Grand Theft Auto experience? Original trilogy?
Yeah. Go ahead, John.
Go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, I never owned any of them, but I played 3 quite a bit at a friend's house and Vice City at that same friend's house. I think by the time that he got San Andreas, I was kind of done playing those games. But definitely played those 2 quite a bit.
Yeah, I also I don't think I played San Andreas very much at all. Now that I think about it, I don't know why.
That was the one where like the main character could gain all the weight. They were like, "Look, he gains weight now." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good."
Wow. What about you, Liam?
I definitely. So I was never a Nintendo owner, so I never had anything. So I had a GameCube when this was all happening. So I went to college freshman year, and one of our like suite mates, like in the next room over, had it, and I definitely remember just sitting there with him, and we would pass the controller back and forth playing Grand Theft Auto, and I'd never played anything like that before, and then wouldn't play anything like that again because they didn't bring any Grand Theft Auto to any Nintendo consoles. I really enjoyed it, and it was in these like limited
Until
versions.
now. Sorry.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is like I got the 3D the DS game like Chinatown Wars, which was cool, but it wasn't the same. But instead what they released on GameCube was True Crime: The Streets of LA, and then True Crime: The Streets of New York. And I remember when they put those out, I was like, oh, I finally have a Grand Theft Auto game, but I play as a cop, so it's like cooler and it's better because I'm like a good guy. I mean, the game was like a total GTA knockoff, and it was fine. I've gone back and messed around with it again, and it's good. But I'd never had an experience where you can just really do whatever. Like, things are obviously gate kept behind missions and things, and you're unlocking stuff, but really you could just kind of go and do whatever you wanted and have this sandbox. And when we talk about open world games, we're also talking, if we're going into semantics, about sandbox games, right?
Yeah, and we've
had open world games before, but this was an open world sandbox in many ways.
That's a good segue to kind of our first discussion, which is a little bit of like a definition of what we're talking about, because like we're going to get into history and like what like people consider to be the first open world game or not, because it's such a broad term. And like, you know, like it's hard to define because like you kind of know it when you play it, but like, what does that mean? You know, it doesn't mean you can go do anything, right? Like Breath of the Wild, after the first couple hours, you can go fight Ganon, right? Does that mean it's open world? I mean, technically it is, you know, but you can't do that in other open world games. So does that disqualify them? No. So it's kind of a tough definition.
I mean, the original Zelda, right? That was the whole thing when Breath of the Wild came out, is they were like, well, this goes back to the roots of Zelda NES, which is true. Like, Zelda NES, you could pretty much walk to most places, but if you didn't have the blue candle or whatever it was, then you weren't getting the raft that got you over to the thing. So it had those kind of Metroid-esque locks that you would then see in Super Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie and all those others that like also are open world and have things to do in those worlds, but they don't have that sandbox component. You're exploring and you're trying to find things in this world, and you're not just going on a linear path, but you are being kind of guided in certain directions, and there are certain like mile markers that you have to hit in order to progress.
Exactly. And a high, like usually a high number of side quests or side missions that are totally optional. Like you might just go in a direction and find a side quest.
It's kind of just the definition of it has changed. Like, you know, whenever we were originally playing Super Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie, we considered those open world games because there wasn't anything like it. But in reality, they're just puzzle platformers, and you use a hub world to go into levels.
Yeah,
essentially.
And that's a good point, because like throughout the history of gaming, the goal has been to give the player more and more and more and more choice. You know, and so the ultimate choice being like, go do anything and the consequences are your own, you know, like go fight the final boss within the first hour of the game. But you're probably dead, you know, but that's your choice.
It's funny because all a video game is, and ever, you know, the reason why we have video games is basically like trying to simulate, you know, either a board game or a role-playing game that was played with dice, you know, originally. So And essentially, we're trying to get back to that state, you know, where you can do anything that you can imagine with the roll of a dice, or, you know, you could be the tycoon of sorts playing Monopoly or whatever. But, you know, we're essentially trying to get back, or trying to virtually get to those points to where you can do all those things as an open sandbox, as Liam said.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I played a lot of D&D when I was growing up. I mean, I started playing video games earlier than that, but by the time I was in late middle school, early high school, my dad was actually our DM. Take that as you will, but like, I'd have a bunch of my friends come over. Yeah, it was pretty sweet, and he would DM for like 6 of my friends, so when I started playing RPGs, because you had these things, I never messed with like EverQuest or any of those kind of bigger online. Was it RuneScape?
Yeah,
there was a bunch of those kinds of things
that
you would play.
And all that.
EverQuest. Yeah. I never messed with, because I remember trying them out a little bit and being like, I just want to play Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons, I can jump on a chandelier. You know, I could do whatever I want in that game. And until recently, you didn't have games that could really let you do that sort of thing. The games that I remember from that era of like early PC gaming that felt open world to me as I look back on it is flight simulators. There was a game called Terminal Velocity that was like an early kind of 3D polygonal shooter, like space age kind of shooter thing from 3D Realms, I think it was. And my friends and I just played that to heck. It was great. But I never knew where I was going. I was just like literally just looking for something to shoot, and then like maybe would crash down into some base or something. We had no idea what we were doing, but you would fly around this planet. And we had the shareware, and you bought the full version of it, and you got 3 more planets or whatever it was. And I feel like flight simulators were that thing, kind of like Pilot Wings a little bit. You got that bug from that a little, where you could just take off and go until you try to hit the horizon, and maybe you find something cool that somebody stuck there. I loved those games.
That reminds me of a game for the NES I played called Destination Earthstar, where you're on kind of like an open like universe map, and you can fly to any planet. Horrible game. It plays terribly, and like I don't recommend it, but like that was cool to be able to just kind of like, oh, I'm just gonna go in this direction, and like unfortunately there's really nothing there,
right? Which
is a huge shame, you know. Like being open is one thing, but being a game is another thing. It's like you can be open, but if it's not filled with something to do, then why bother? And I think the text-based D&D game for the Plato system is considered to be one of the earliest open world experiences you can play on a computer, which is fairly... I mean, it was text-based, right? But you could put a lot of different commands into different scenarios and get different outcomes, which is basically what they were saying, is that the choice level was so high that it was considered fairly open.
Kind of like BBS servers back in the day, where you could play like Legend of the Red Dragon and things like that. Those are all text-based RPGs.
Exactly.
Same thing, just more modern.
And we talked about The Legend of Zelda earlier, but we can't forget about a little game called Hide Lied, which is a similar RPG that came out a year earlier than Zelda, that kind of did a similar thing. But it was unfortunately not good. Like,
what's it called?
It didn't have the Nintendo magic.
Hide Lied. HYDLIDE. Hide Lied. I think that's how you say it.
Oh yeah.
1984. And you know, it's just not very well made, not a good game. And then the other game that came out around that same time, which is widely considered one of the first like The Legend of Zelda, like open world games, is Ultima, which is very, very heavy in the like choose your character, make your character who you are, and then that character changes or grows in the world. Where Link stays Link, It doesn't change very much aside from the items you pick up. So that was kind of another step towards open world, was letting your character, your avatar, your character be bit change with the world.
Did you guys, so was Grand Theft Auto though, did it feel like a paradigm shift then, going back to that? Like it went, like we had these open world experiences of Zelda 64 and Mario 64 and these NES games or whatever, but I feel like Grand Theft Auto changed what open world then was defined as. Kind of like John, you were saying, like we thought that Mario 64 was open world because we didn't have anything else other than that to compare it to, so it was open world comparatively. But when I started playing GTA in the dorm room, I was like, there's no other game like this. There's no other game that just lets me. And look, I had played Body Harvest and some of these other 64 games where like you can get into different vehicles. I remember renting Body Harvest and Blast Corps right around the same time. Yeah, and you could just like jump from vehicle to vehicle, but you were still kind of, if I recall, you were still going along. Blast Corps, definitely there was a mission. Like
Blast Corps based missions.
Yeah. Body Harvest, you had to like do certain things, but it was. You could jump in, you go into buildings, you could kill people, you could take cars and stuff like that. Like it was more interactive in that sense. But I'd never experienced anything like Grand Theft Auto before in just the flexibility in what you could just do.
Yeah, well, and Body Harvest
react to you.
Body Harvest being directed, being built by DMA Design, the same, which became Rockstar North. Who also created the game Space Station Silicon Valley. One interesting fact is that they kind of combined those two games that were being developed simultaneously. In Space Station Silicon Valley, you're a microchip and you jump into different robot animals and you gain different abilities. And so being able to drive a tank or drive a sports car or drive, a minivan, like they all have different feel, different, and then with the openness that you had in Body Harvest, one of the things that's interesting about Grand Theft Auto and why it stands out is not that it was doing anything that hadn't been done before necessarily, but the way that it combined everything together, and the way that it felt so dense. It felt like around every corner there was something to do, something to shoot, something to blow up, somebody to chase in a car, a cop trying to chase you. It was full of action. It looked like a living, breathing city that was going when you weren't there. That's what it felt like. And so that's what I think sort of took what like is generally called third generation open city games to the next level, where now it's no longer just, it's open, but it's still Ocarina of Time, and you still have to beat Ganon, and you still have to do the dungeons in order, or at least in a set order, whether it's one set or a couple sets. Now it's like, no, here's a city, and there's missions in the city, so go do whatever mission you want. And whether it's a side quest or not, just figure it out, set to your own devices in a city.
But we all said that we stopped playing it after its second iteration. I mean, did you guys play any GTA 4 or 5 at all?
Very little, but my life changed.
Sure, there's that too. Yeah,
I didn't buy a PS2. I didn't own a PS2. I played it at friends' houses, and then, what year did San Andreas come out? 2004, 3?
No, it's probably after that, because I was playing it in college, and I was playing the original in college in 2002 to 3. I'd say San Andreas. I would guess 2005. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was like packing up my life.
Late 2004.
I was packing up my life and moving to Austin at that point, so I didn't own a PS2. So,
I guess what I'm wondering is, like, I think a lot of people kind of, it opened our eyes to what open world, sandbox, open city, whatever it is, and then I think everybody then from a developmental standpoint, but then from a player standpoint, then kind of figured out what their jam was in that space. So for me, like, I liked and do like some of the Assassin's Creed games, but I also feel like I get lost in those a bunch. I like the Xenoblade's kind of take on open world, where you are kind of doing fetch questing and collecting in mission, but there's also the worlds are alive and there's a lot going on there. And I can, if I just want to explore like Breath of the Wild style and just have a moment looking at some virtual vista, it's great. And then you had other people who went over to Minecraft and just went full sandbox, right? And they were just like, I just want a living Lego world. So I think there's like all these different ways, like things kind of scattered off from there. I do think a lot of it traces back to that kind of paradigm shift that GTA 3 created. And then everybody was like, oh, what can we take of this and make a new thing? How do we take this and make it our own thing? And there's 50 different ways that exists now.
Some people would argue because the term open world is so open to interpretation. Like when somebody says, oh, this is an open world game, like you have your idea of what that is, but when you're actually talking about it, it's not very tangible. Some people say that Shenmue did it first, right?
Okay.
It had day-night cycles. It had an open city you could drive around in, a full sandbox city, changing weather, fully voiced non-player characters doing their own routines on a schedule.
Wow.
Fully interactive environments. It kind of, and like, it doesn't feel as good. Not good. That's so subjective, but like, it doesn't feel as, there's still a lot that hinders you in Shenmue from being able to just go and do,
Yeah.
But it certainly did pave the way in a huge way for what GTA became. And so I definitely want to mention that.
Yeah. So where did you guys go? Like, where is your space now? If you want to play some sort of open world thing, do you like playing those kinds of games? Do you want there to be, do you Just Cause, I think I've never played the series, but that's the whole purpose of Just Cause, right? Is like, you can connect a airplane to a building and you can do almost anything you want and just wreck everything and just see how the physics interact or see how things occur from that. I mean, do you guys play games like that at all? Is there a different space in open world gaming that you went to instead?
John, I'm gonna let you start.
I'd say for me, pretty much probably the most recent open world game that I've played that I would consider to be sandbox styled or close to what we've been talking about would probably be Assassin's Creed, those types of games. I played not the last one that came out, but the one before that. So not Valhalla, but the one where you're a Roman soldier or Greek.
Odyssey,
yes. And it's truly open. I mean, you can just kind of take your boat and go wherever you want.
Does it feel alive? Because I played Assassin's Creed 3. I have 4. I keep meaning to play it. I haven't.
4 is my favorite because pirates.
Yeah. It's basically Pirates of the Caribbean simulator.
But does it feel like it's alive? Because 3 did, but there was a lot of finding feathers in trees. And I'm like, I don't need to chase feathers
it does.
in trees.
Yeah. I really enjoyed my time with 4, and I never played another Assassin's Creed. I don't know why.
Odyssey was good. Like, there's certain points in the games where you get a bounty on your head, and like you'll just be trying to complete a part of a map or something, not even necessarily a mission, but a quest. All of a sudden, some dude will just like pop up out of nowhere and start hunting you down.
Oh man!
you have to run away or like take him out, and basically you get enough points from taking out the ranked players, like you get to move up in take their place in the ranking. So it's pretty cool.
I think for me, there has to be a really precise balance between how open the game is and how much there actually is to do and how deep those things are. But the last truly open world game that I played was The Witcher 3 when it came out on Switch. There's just not a lot of time in my life right now to just be like, I'm just going to go do whatever in a game. I kind of have to know what I'm doing and go do it. And The Witcher was so good because it wasn't huge, right? The map isn't friggin' like Skyrim, right? It's smaller and it's broken up into sections, but in each section, it was just like every side quest was like its own little story, right? And you like wanted to go find all these stories. It was like pulling you. So that's what I really like. And like, it's kind of the same thing in Breath of the Wild. You could climb anything and find something hidden for you. And though that map is also really big, it's not the biggest video game map in the world. And I actually had a hard time with Skyrim. And I think part of it was that it like things got so kind of complex and like, I don't want to poop on Skyrim because it's certainly an important game.
Right.
It's just not for me. There was a lot that wasn't communicated to the player, and I never really knew what I was supposed to do in any given situation. I just kind of felt like a lot of it was obtuse and unexplained.
It seems like the kind of game that you would need to either spend a lot of time to figure out or have a community that you're exploring it with. Yeah,
exactly. And so I think I need things to kind of like be simple and pick up quickly so I can like understand the game, and then be small enough so that I can actually enjoy the game and not like be getting lost a whole bunch. So I think I stuck to things like Breath of the Wild and The Witcher.
I thought you were going to say Borderlands, because that's one that I recently
why haven't I talked about Borderlands?
So I recently played Borderlands. Open. Yeah, I was going to ask it how you kind of listed that one on the scale here, because I beat Borderlands 1, weird ending, and I'm on the cusp of taking the plunge into the pre-sequel. Like, I have the whole package.
Have you played 2?
No, I've only played the first one.
2 is the best.
Is it?
Don't play pre-sequel. Just play 2. That's my recommendation.
Okay.
Just watch a YouTube video on pre-sequel.
Here's part of what I love about Borderlands, and it actually kind of falls into my criteria. It's pretty linear. Like, you always know where to go and what the next thing is, and you can choose to be like, I'm going to do all these side quests first, and you know exactly where to go. It's simple because it's basically a first-person shooter. You carry around 4 guns, you have grenades, you have upgrades, you have your powers, but you're essentially, that's it. Like, that's the game, is changing your weapons. There's nothing complex about it, and it's not huge. Like, I never once got lost in playing Borderlands. You just kind of always know where to go, and
you
definitely put a marker on your map. Those things help.
You go through the gates to go through the certain area where you're like, all right, I got to go back down into there to find that guy.
And if you enjoyed Borderlands 1, you're gonna just go crazy for 2, because it just takes everything it did the first time and like just made it better. Everything's better in the second one.
I'm not good at FPSs at all, but that game, I think the freedom, the story, the setting, the kind of attitude of it kind of motivated me to get good enough where I could get through the game. I like a sniper rifle, especially if you got a little fire damage on top of that thing. It was pretty good.
It's got a little bit of like RPG flavor to it as well, with skills and things like that, which make it it's a lot more digestible for people that don't like first person shooters as much.
I was super impressed because
especially 2, you can manipulate the game enough where you don't have to play it like a shooter. You can kind of turn it into Skyrim if you want to have like do melee, or you want to like just have shotguns and blast or you can just like have a robot that does all the damage for you. Like, it's kind of very malleable, the second one at least, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely I bought it alongside because I feel like it came out right around the same time as the BioShock collection.
They all
and the
came out on the
XCOM
same day,
collection.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
Same time.
I bought them all, and
XCOM and-
BioShock. I was convinced I was going to love because I love stories. I love a good story, and that game just never hooked me. And I love a tactics game, and XCOM was just too out there. And Borderlands was the one I was like, I guess I'll pull the trigger on this. I don't know if I'll ever play this game, and that's the one that hooked me, man. Like,
how have we not talked about this? I love Borderlands.
It's really good. It's because I just finished it like maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. Like I literally started playing it over the summer. I've never played it before.
And you did talk about it on Discord.
fun.
When you start doing 2, we might need to jump into some multiplayer because that would be super fun.
All right, cool.
But back to our topic.
Yeah.
So, I think I made an unpopular decision with talk a little bit about going back to Skyrim. I chose not to play it, and I picked Skyward Sword over that game.
Oh wow,
when it came out.
Not open world.
Yes, yeah, I went the opposite direction.
Yeah, less open world than Wind Waker.
But then turned right around not too much after that and got Fallout 4, and
man,
that's a totally like that was I don't know what happened, but I ended up putting like over 200 hours in that game.
Wow.
And still didn't finish it.
I think I threw 200 hours at Fallout 3 for sure.
Yeah, those games are some of my favorite, and they truly are open.
Yeah,
open world is far as your level can take you. You know, your mileage may vary based on how powerful you are at what point, but you can literally go anywhere you want to. You might get mauled.
But Liam, I want to know your answer to your own question.
About where I went to.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So I played a bunch of. Do you guys remember a game series called Black and White? There was Black and White 1 and Black and White 2. Again, it's like a city. It's a sim game. Yeah. It's like a building game where you're a deity and you're creating stuff, but you make the world yourself. I love that idea. Like I'm into the SimCity stuff. I loved Command and Conquer and the early RTS Warcraft stuff, but this was just like it was very sandbox in the sense that you could just make people fall into relationships, and then you have a population boom and this and that. But there was a story where there was other civilizations that were going to attack you, or you can engage with them, or you could not engage with them. I loved playing those in college. I went hardcore into those on PC while I was in college. But like I said, since I think it's more of that Breath of the Wild, Xenoblade, I need there to be some kind of story that's carrying me through. I think that's what did it for Borderlands. It's like, give me the option for freedom, give me a cool environment, but if I want to know where I'm going, you're pointing me in the right direction. I need to be, and I feel like I lost that with Assassin's Creed 3. Assassin's Creed 4 seems like my kind of game, so I feel like I'll jump into that next. But I need there to be some kind of story beat and guiding principle that I can grab onto if I want to. And I loved I played all of the Xenoblade. I didn't play X as much, but 1 and 2 a ton. I love the Xenoblade series. I hope there's a third one. I think that they do that open world balance really well. Obviously, they contributed to Breath of the Wild, and they're going to be part of Breath of the Wild sequel. So, that's where my heart is, kind of in that space.
Good. That was a Lionhead Studios game.
What was?
Black and White.
Oh, Black and White, yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, you guys, any final thoughts? Do you plan on picking up the trilogy when it comes out?
Yeah. I never played Vice City or San Andreas, and I feel like it'd be a fun thing. I feel like that's one of the things you guys were talking about, how Dread's very digestible. And obviously I feel a little differently. I want an immersive experience. I want to sit there and chew on it. I think GTA portable, like sitting on your couch, especially if your kid or your wife can't necessarily see what you're doing on the screen. Like, I feel like that could be really fun sitting on the couch and just like you get into a tight spot and you're like, okay, I'm going to turn this off. That's fine. The cops got me. Oh, whatever. I'll try again tomorrow. It seems like it'll be a lot of fun. So I think I'll definitely get it.
Have we got a price on that yet?
I think it's $49.99.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was going to say 50.
Yeah.
It's really not bad.
No, not a bad deal. And they really did a lot to update the graphics and the gameplay to make it kind of modern feeling. Very much a kind of a little remaster.
3 Vice City and San Andreas, right?
That's right. That's all. There's no Liberty City Stories and no like Chinatown Wars or anything like that, or the PSP game. It is not there as well.
That would have been cool if they could have shoehorned all that in too.
Maybe they'll throw out another trilogy at some point. It'll be like all the extra stuff, but they probably just want to test the waters. So I'll probably get it on sale at some point. It's not something I'm ready to jump into right now. There's like way too much coming out in November, December for me to try to even attempt to grab that at full price. So it'll be something I get down the road for sure. But I just think that it's such an important game, an important genre defining game that we can't not talk about it. So
yeah. And can I ask, do you guys, I mean, obviously, so Odyssey went in that direction with Mario. We've seen Zelda go back to its roots. Like, is that the trajectory that you want your favorite games to go on? Do you want the next Donkey Kong to be Donkey Kong 64 done right? Do you want this to be
you mean better, right?
I like Liam's answer better.
I'll just pretend you said better.
That's fine. Yeah, better. Yeah, cleaned up. Yeah. Do you want your games to have open world components, or is it kind of a situational thing?
I could take it or leave it, honestly. I mean, Metroid Dread is pretty linear as far as Metroid games go. Not to say that there isn't the opportunity to go off and explore, but it's very clear where you need to go next. Yeah. That's kind of what I prefer. Like, I don't really, and Odyssey, I have a hard time even considering Odyssey open world because there's no hub at all.
That's true.
You're just going from place to place. Like Mario Galaxy was more open than Odyssey.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
But certainly don't mind it as if it doesn't add unnecessary fluff to my playtime, which I don't have time for. Like I like it to be there. I don't need it there. And if it's there, it better have some kind of cool purpose. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I have pipe dreams of you were talking about Star Fox 64 and that kind of segmented map where if you go the right way on that first board, you can go to the left instead of the right and whatever. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of have the dreams of that Starlink kind of deal. Where
how did we not talk about Starlink? I love Starlink, man.
Where you could potentially, because Command did some things like that. Command obviously is its own Star Fox game, but at least you could choose some of the areas instead of just saying like, here's the branching path and then you have to go to Sector Z. Like having a Star Fox game where your hub is the Great Fox, you're in the galaxy, but you can choose to where you go at any point and then go to different planets. Sounds fantastic to me. And then you get into your dogfighting.
Did you play Starlink?
I played it a bit. Yeah, I haven't. I didn't get far enough where it really opened up. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah,
I beat the crap out of that game and only played as Star Fox the entire time.
Yeah.
And it's a dream, honestly. It feels amazing to be able to have this entire universe and nothing holding you back. And you go down to the surface.
Nintendo to do that.
Yeah, you go down to the surface and you fight some baddies. I kind of dream of a Star Fox game where it's like it's basically Starlink, but when you come down to the planet, you enter maybe like a procedurally generated on rails mode. Because Star Fox without the on rails component, it feels lackluster. Like it needs to have that classic feel to it. So something along those lines to me would be ideal for Star Fox. But with that's like a whole rabbit hole we don't have to go down. But that's another open world game that I loved.
We also didn't talk about No Man's Sky.
See, I haven't played that. That's another game where I've always had my eye on it, but it's not something that's on any Nintendo console, and I just don't have it. Yeah, but it looks great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the ultimate open world, open universe game.
Mm-hmm.
Fly anywhere, go to any planet.
But we always talk about what could they do to bring Star Fox back, or F-Zero or whatever, and I feel like Star Fox is... I don't want a Metroid open world. I don't want... like an F-Zero with a story mode where you travel around a city has been floated around. That's fine. I'm open to it. Whatever. Star Fox in Starlink form would be so good.
Yeah, heck yeah. Give me a space opera.
Yeah.
So now that we're fully off the rails, we are going to transition over to the community couch where you get to ask the questions and start the topics. So stay tuned, and we will see you guys there on the couch in just a minute. Welcome back. We are on the community couch hanging out with you guys. And this week we've got some questions from the Discord community. Infinite Blue jumps in first and says, question to John/everyone, since it came up in the last podcast. What are your thoughts on the Crazy Taxi series? Which entry or which port is your favorite? Big fan. Big fans around here. What do you think, John?
So since I haven't got to play 3 yet, I would probably have to say either 2 for console, and then obviously the arcade is fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. If you have the opportunity to play it in the arcade, that's legit. You know, steering wheel, pedals, do it up. That's awesome. I think the Dreamcast version of 1 and 2 is kind of definitive.
Yep. Being
Sega games. I also haven't popped 3 in yet, but I've heard good things. Don't bother with the Game Boy Advance port. Have you found the PSP game, John?
I have not pulled the trigger on it yet. I found a couple on Mercari. I'm just kind of waiting it out.
They're pretty cheap though, right?
$20.
Oh man, that's expensive for a PSP game.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to get it complete. You could probably find one loose for like $10.
Yeah. Liam, what about you, man? What are your thoughts on Crazy Taxi?
I mean, I played it a little bit in the arcade back in the day, and I only ever played the GameCube version, so I'm gonna have to go with that. It was great. I don't own a single Crazy Taxi right now, and I have not. Since you guys have been talking about them, I've had my eyes open, and I just haven't come across any in my locals. I don't know what's up.
They stick around, man. Nobody wants to sell them.
Yeah,
that's right.
They're great. Honestly, it's one of my favorite arcade games. It is.
Yeah, it seems super fun.
It is, from the soundtrack, the like pop punk soundtrack, to just the whole style of the game is just zany and awesome. And
just the gameplay. It
plays so well. Like, it has no business playing as well as it does for a frantic driving game. Yeah. So big fans of the series for sure. Flightsy coming into the couch, which says, what is your most unpopular opinion? I'm assuming gaming opinion. Follow up, what opinion do you have that the other hosts disagree with you on? Donkey Kong 64 is one of the top tier N64 games.
That's the one we disagree on.
That's the one. What else do you guys? Unpopular opinions. You have a thing for Fire Emblem, John, that I do not understand.
Yeah, that's probably pretty unpopular, at least here anyway.
Yeah, well, just with me hosting it is.
Well, and even just some of the RPGs I play are probably... There's not a whole lot of Xenoblade fans out there either. I mean, Liam's played them, but I know lots of people pick up the first one and kind of put it down pretty quick.
What about you, Liam? Unpopular gaming opinion?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, I was just waxing about how great Borderlands was, and obviously I grew up on GoldenEye, but I just cannot gel with first-person shooters usually. I don't know what it is. Like, I never got good enough where it's in my skill set, and so almost any time I pick up a first-person shooter, I walk away after an hour or two. I don't know what it is.
Interesting. You get motion sickness?
No, I just don't have the reflexes. Like, I play the Sniper Elite series. I don't know if you guys have messed with that at all, because then I can at least control the situation. I just can't keep up with the frantic. Like, I tried Medal of Honor and Call of Duty and all that stuff, and I never know where I'm getting shot from. I'm like, I never, and I think I just never took the time to really get good, but it's just, I guess the unpopular opinion is I don't think it's worth the time to get good. But
fair enough. Well, I'm
There
glad you gave Borderlands a shot, because it's certainly unique in its field.
for sure.
Yeah, I think too. Part of our like sort of MO in Retro Logic is that we like to give the spotlight to very like underappreciated or weird games. And you know, Seth started a whole podcast about it called Keep Nintendo Weird. So there's definitely like a soft spot in my heart for stuff that's just like off the wall, or like not, you know, just didn't sell well, or was just weird at the time. So yeah, I think unpopular opinions are popular around here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Flightsy. Good question. We've got Trash Turkey coming in with the couch question. He said, please describe the community couch. Color, material, condition, etc. Also, if you put my hand in between the cushions, what am I likely to find? Thanks.
I mean, it seems pretty plush from where I'm sitting. It's kind of soft, and I had my hand in between the cushions before, and I found one of those plastic. It's like the plastic containers that you got for the Game Boy cartridges. You know, like the little snap containers that you got for your old Game Boy cartridge. Yeah,
I've been
those just
missing
wound up all over the place. I know. Yeah.
That's good.
They're all over the place. Yeah.
Let's see what I got down here. Okay, so here's one of those caps that comes on an HDMI cable when you buy it brand new. Got one of those.
You always worry about your dog chewing on it.
And 62 cents. Got 62 cents.
And also the back to a remote control for a TV that I owned 5 years ago.
Now, if you find the back to my Wavebird controller, let me know.
Those are worth their weight in gold, man.
Yeah,
that thing's probably like $30 on its own, just for
or any Ninja Turtles accessories. Right, give those to Dan.
You got give pass
G.I.
those
Joe.
along. Oh, here's a cassette tape. It is the Sleepless in Seattle soundtrack. There it is.
That gets
sure, it's not Weird Al Bad Hair Day.
That's right.
Oh,
that's on the other side.
Started on that. Come on.
That's a good one. Awesome. Yeah, nice plush couch. It's got cup holders. I think it's like maybe like a navy blue. I have a problem with
spill on it. It's not a big deal. Yeah.
It's easy. Dark covers up stains well. I hate leather. Leather is the least comfortable material to sit on for me. I don't know why people bother with it.
As long as it's not a like sweaty, sticky, itchy couch that you found at like every college party, you know.
No, see, that's the best. This couch is in our imagination, so it can be.
That's right.
Whatever you want.
That's the best.
Yeah.
What kind of condition is this couch in? I'd say it's fairly new. It's only been around a couple episodes, so we haven't quite worn it in yet. You know.
Yeah, it's not like we bought it from IKEA, right?
No.
Like you guys got this probably off Craigslist, but like a really good Craigslist listing. Like,
they barely sat in it.
Yeah.
And didn't have any pets. But it is one of those like living room sized corner couches, because we got to fit the whole community on here. You know,
right.
You could sleep on
it. Sectional.
Yeah, exactly. Got a couple of those recliner seats in there too. It's a nice couch. Yeah, it's a nice couch. Thanks for the question, guys. Trash Turkey. Yeah, good stuff. If you guys find anything in the community couch, please let me know. If it's a Ninja Turtle accessory, please send it my way, because
Earthworm Jim's head.
Oh man, I'm so glad that my figures had the head and it wasn't broken. I was so worried about that when I ordered it. But
my local has a Princess What's Her Name in her packaging for $12.99, and I've been eyeing it the past 2 times I went in there. And now that I saw your stuff, I'm like, yeah, I think I probably need to get that.
That's a pretty good. I think $20 a pop is about the going rate for any given figure. Any of those figures. Yeah, for sure. Jim will get you like $100 though, easy.
Yeah,
original Jim.
I wish it was Psychro, but I'll go with Princess. What's her name?
Oh man, my Psychro's missing a couple pieces. And I'm kind of bummed about it. Yeah, and his helmet's all foggy. Anyway, go watch the Patreon video all about it. I talk all about it. Well, that's our show, guys. Liam, thanks again for jumping in. Where can people find Retro Groove? Where can people find you? Yeah,
let me pull that up here because actually Adam's a lot better at that stuff than I am. I'm just at Liam Davenport on just about everything. But I believe our Retro Groove is just Retro Groove _podcast on Instagram. And then it's retrologic.games/Retro Groove.
Sweet. Good deal. Thanks again for jumping in with us, Liam.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Replacing Sam, who's hosting Plock Talk right now, which you can go listen to now after this. And thanks to you, listener, for listening to Retro Logic Podcast. We're proudly part of the Nintendo Dads family of podcasts. If you like what you hear, check me out on Twitter and Instagram at RetroLogic Games. You're also welcome to jump into our friendly and 100% non-toxic Discord community. The open link to that is in my Twitter bio, or you can find everything. We've got a game store, we've got merch, we've got resources page with like some of our favorite websites. All that can be found on the website retrologic.games. So, thanks again for jumping in, and we'll see y'all next week.
Bye now. So you always have tea also, Liam?
No, I don't.
Oh.
I've been trying to be good and not drink alcohol, but I figured I'd have a little something tonight.
You can have alcohol on the show. I almost had tea tonight. I was like so close because my throat's being crazy, but I had to settle for just boiling water, honey, lemon, apple cider vinegar because I literally wouldn't drink it if there was tea in it. It's
wow.
Yeah.
I guess $2 Hero and I will have to have a tea podcast.
Tea Logic.
Tea Logic, yeah.
Do it.